All right. It's a late day. I'm off work. Yay. 7:30. Don't have to do nothing. Oh yeah. Get some laundry done. Play some EVE Online. Oh yeah. Have the coffee. Oh yeah. I've actually come up with now this shockingly cost-effective method of eating like very simple portions. And I kept thinking about it, and I was like, there's got to be, well, I mean, if I were to, because I started thinking about what if you were to try to start some kind of place of business, and the whole thing is that no, you're fine as long as you don't have employees. You're in a blue enclave. The moment you have employees, you're out like this tremendous amount of money per hour because there's all this stuff you have to do to have employees. Like it's really like that's one of those kind of burdens of the blue states that makes that really you have to wonder, okay, in market value, would the blue states be a place people would live if there weren't kind of almost forced amenities? Like employers have to do these things, so that you can then see why in blue enclaves and blue states, they really don't like, they really are kind of mean to contractors and people who, it's just a contract, you just get this done. They keep wanting to, oh no, Uber drivers have all these employee rights, and they're really employees, and it's because it's a way that they through regulation, better control who wins and who loses. Yeah, and because that's really because that's really how Democrats think. They really do think that if at some point they all decide they don't like their yoga club decides that they don't like some local business person, that they should be able to kind of make life hard for them, show them that they're not welcome in the community anymore, and oh look, you have all these violations. So anyway, so I was thinking through something that there's no way back from, because it just hit me. I'm like, wait, no, that's kind of different than the way I was sort of thinking it through before. And I was like, yeah, the whole issue of, okay, first we're going to deny the phenomena you're speaking of because it kind of makes us look bad. It makes us Democrats look bad that where we are in charge, there's these things that happen, and it's very embarrassing, and we don't really like talking about it. We'd rather people not pay attention to it. And so I started walking through like how this, okay, from this point on, the idea is the Democrats have to get men's votes. They have this unbelievably, like this was really, I mean, so preposterous of an advertisement to be like, oh, I'm man enough to vote for a woman, and this was so preposterous. And now, of course, everybody has found out who these actors, they're all actors, who all of them are, and the movies that they had been in as extras usually, and that we're probably going to see a lot of this kind of thing. This is really what's going to happen. The Democrats are going to have suddenly these amazingly dramatic victims of victimhood that, are like, I'm being victimized, and because of, the men in the right wing. And because there's now all these actors and dramatists and thespians who don't have jobs. And because they're out of work, it's going to put a lot of these guys they'll become kind of like, you could say, propaganda agents for the party is what they'll end up being now that they don't have work. And so there was that I was thinking about. And then, okay, but they still have to attract men. They can't keep doing it with these silly kind of tricks. And I'm going to see, Yeah, nobody's around yet. Sweet. I don't think. Is that a human form? Somebody. I want to cheat. I want to walk. I want to see I want to show everybody. Like, I want to go around the little construction barrier. I swear, I'm like one of those people now that I'm like, I don't want to disobey the rules though. I don't want to break the rules though. Somebody will give me the business. Oh, that's great as I get older. Okay, so anyway. Oh, shucks, they gave me the business. I went around the barrier and they gave me the business. Well, what is this? This looks like some big-ass machine thing. They might have actually really fenced this bitch in. It looks like they might have really actually put in fencing and shit. But I'm not sure. I can't quite tell. There's some big-ass machine that was sitting here. But anyway, I was like, okay, so the party, obviously, they put this ad together, hired these actors. Thank you for posting that to the Discord, by the way, whoever posted that. And it's like, okay, so they're doing outreach to men, so they obviously have some reason they want to do outreach to men. Okay, so that's the clientele. You are now marketing to this group. You want them to become a part of the club. That's the goal. You want their vote. That's the goal. So if that's the goal, then what are you doing to make that work for men? What's the point? What are you doing? And so one of the things about this is, are you going to propose something that incentivizes men to vote for you? That is fundamentally, that this is, any man would see this and be like, that's for me. Like a really good-looking purse would be for women, typically is, and she's like, that looks like that's for me, Yeah, here we go. Wow, look at that. Look at that. That's freaking amazing. You guys have watched this over the months. Now you see it. Beautiful. Amazing. Look at that. Look at that engineering. Look at the engineering. Look at and feel the awe and power and honor. All right. Yeah, and the crows and the duckies, the crows and the geeseys. Oh, see, there we go. That's where that old man went through. Oh, that's funny. They locked it open. See, that's the network of old men. See, don't question it. Don't act like you've seen it. Don't act like you know. They're all in cahoots. They're all locking open fences. See, I like how this one crow is like cold chilling, just watching. It's like, what's up, homie? I seen your YouTube channel, bro. Yeah, that was somebody going through that fence. That's great. It's the network of runners. And just good folks. They're like, oh, well, somebody's going to try to get through here anyway. Don't want them cutting open this goddamn lock and lose another damn lock. So, yeah, you see. So there, goes all the way. Slough ends. Or that part of the slough. And you can see the next part of the project seems to be developing. It's freaking awesome. This is amazing, bro. All right. And so, if they're trying to attract men back to the Democratic Party and trying to get those votes, there's things like, just don't tax sole proprietorships. And you'll have so many working class people. Like, this would be everything from barbers, hairdressers, to some degree, like various kinds of business owners, but then especially contractors. You want them to build things so that you have economic activity. You actually have people doing things. Well, yeah, then you want the price for them to operate to lower. Unless what you're trying to do is you're trying to make sure that only large corporations that can borrow against their large amount of capital are the ones who succeed. I personally think that the Democrats really are always doing that. They're just trying to figure out how they game it so that it sounds like it's for the quote-unquote working class. And that's why their advocates are really never working class people. It's never some person who is known for doing this or that real business, and they never cite a business, like a legit business they ran. Like I picked this up. It took me a long time to figure this out with Tom Hartman. And I was like, what is the business he ran? And I looked into him and I'm like, you're a fucking phony. Holy shit. Like, what a fucking phony. And so, it's not like Jeremy from the Quartering, who he could talk about in business terms. He could talk about things. He could use the terminology from it, and he's honest about, no, you actually have to make profits, or it's not really a business, it's more of a hobby, and you're trying to write off your hobby if you're, no, this is why we define it this way. Hartman, iffier and weirder, about his terminology, because he was, somebody on the left who believes you can mishmash words and do magical things with words, and it makes the phenomena fundamentally different. And so there we go. A party that doesn't use definitions correctly, plays around with grammar, uses kind of this goofy corporate speak of the day more and more and more, will not default to simply very good English. They won't default back to that, so that you could use words that are quite definite in their meaning, that there's no kind of fuzzy connotation going on unless meant to be, rather than sort of quasi-scientific vagaries, which is, you can't attract men with quasi-scientific vagaries. It sounds like you're lying to them. So that's one of the first places that this has got to change. When you're wrong, you're wrong. That's another thing. If you want to attract men back to the party, when you're wrong, admit you were wrong, and that won't happen. It's something about the personality of the party itself. And it takes just total collapse of the fucking party historically, such as the Civil Rights Voting Act and all that. Because Democrats can't really deal with that, JFK was a different end of the Democratic Party. Most of them were still these asshats who were holding on to the old days with a whip. And so it was the JFK bunch were the ones who were peaceniks, who wanted to fundamentally change the party. So they did. But it took something that rent the country for a generation, and warfare that rent the world pretty much for about a generation. And so that's so people got to get, like, that's what you're dealing with the Democrats, because they actually are from old money. And most of the leadership, even now, when you look into them, like Gretchen Whitmer is one of the last ones around. She's actually rich as hell. Her family were rich. She comes from a background of wealth. It's in power. She's not in any way a normal person. Bill de Blasio, so wealthy and rich. He changed his name so that he could come across as a real New York Italian. Gavin Newsom, anybody who knows, wait, where did he live? And then once you know where he lived, once you know his zip code, you're like, oh, okay, he was rich. There's no, you can't live there and not make about this much money. I'm sorry, I'm from the area, I know. And so there's just a lot of this kind of stuff that, when you Hillary Rodham Clinton, and it's like Clinton's maybe the one guy who you could say he wasn't stinking rich and from some background of that. But no, Hillary was stinking rich and from really old money. And so you're not honest about this. You can't be honest about it, the Democrats, until you have an entirely new leadership structure. You can't take over your own party because you simply can't. The Democrats are a party that the way they're structured, you can't take it back over. People who are dissenters from the Democratic Party, who there's some kind of set of principles you supposedly are into or something or other like that, you're actually going to have to form an entirely new party. That's it. You have nothing now. More and more also something that a lot of Democrats are not dealing with. Hispanics are quietly trying to tell you, could you please knock this off with the whites? Like that's not our fight. Like this is just so not we don't care. And then also even, I think for some people, they just don't even get it. That they're really like, no, I'm from this area and there's always been both, Americanos and newcomer Mexicanos or Chicanos or, whatever wave it was, that it's like, that it's totally normal here, we all get along real fine, I don't know what everybody's problem is. And so this is now one of these things, people who are uncool and don't get along with other people and are fucked up to people, well, aren't they frequently kind of sorted out because of the sense of local power, really? And, yeah. And honor. This idea of, why would you be uncool to somebody just because of their, like who their mama was? And I mean, it's just, it's dishonorable to be, usually, that kind of, it was a skateboarder, that kind of behavior is just considered dishonorable. So that was very uncomfortable too. She's like one of those people, Harajuku's kind of. So it was like really, really, really uncomfortable. The outfit is, I'm like, no, do not get this person anywhere near on the shot, because that outfit is, I wouldn't allow my daughter to wear that, That's why I don't have kids. That's why I don't have kids. Because I'd be so mean. I'd be a mean-ass dad. So, anyway, I probably wouldn't be a mean dad. Anyway, it's dishonorable to behave certain ways. So that's why Antifa is seen as so inherently dishonorable and now associated directly with the Democratic Party. The way BLM attacked people was obviously, and this is what I was getting to, black people being extremely resentful of white people. And that this is something, for some reason, the Democratic Party really, really, really is dependent upon encouraging. And that there's a lot of men that find this very dishonorable. And that's one of those things that it took me a bit of time, and only recently did I really get the import of. The idea of that's dishonorable behavior. And that that more and more, because it was the Gen Zers are the ones who made me see, because of social media, why are you associated with that or those people or that person? It's dishonorable. That guy is this way, those people are that way, and that also because the politics became this way. The left brought it up, because the left wanted to do this thing of association. You're in some way, shape, or form associated with, Mr. Mustache from World War II. So, blah, 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 blah. And these people are like, what are you talking about? I have no idea what you're fucking talking about. And that it's like, oh, because you said this, and that's just like Hitler. And you're like, what are you talking? And people who were just aghast, like that they would be accused of in some way wanting like to commit some like mass genocide or cause warfare or something, while there's people who they're openly advocating for communism and Marxist ideology, which is openly genocidal and violent and actually prescribes violence and mass violence, proclaiming it a fundamental good of the philosophy. and Marxists just love skipping like these things that Marx said, that it's like, no, actually that follows completely in the logic of what he's proposed. And when you see people try to do what he proposes, they usually end up committing mass violence. Like, it makes a lot of sense that he will like actually flippantly talks about committing mass violence and how good it will be and how everybody will understand once the revolution is complete. And so yeah, unless you divorce yourself from the Marxists entirely forever, nobody can have anything to do with that, because it's fundamentally, not just in all these other ways bad, it's dishonorable. You're associated with people who show up with masks and commit mass violence against people who are not ready or prepared for it, and it's done purposefully so you can intimidate them and terrorize them. And that you believe in this because for some reason you keep thinking that you're absconded by enemies. Another issue that most of you on the left don't get about men. This is a big one. You don't get this about men. Why do you think that? That there's a moment where a man comes to this incredible clarity. This is what's been going on with why women aren't getting dates and why men are staying away from women is, wait, hold up. Why do you think that? What makes you think that makes sense? So that's something that once you go down the rabbit hole, we've heard you guys respond to various versions of this over the decade, really about the past decade, a bit more, since the onset of all these Tumblrista feminists and stuff like that. It started to hit people like, wait a second, you really kind of look at people around you and you see these kind of mindless zombies that are like doing what quote unquote society tells them they should do. Not that they're actually doing what they want to do. Not that they have a perfectly functional mind, that they like having a car and a home and children, like that is completely rational. They've actually decided all of these things that are going to require great investments of time and energy and financing and stuff like that, that they've actually decided all this rationally, that it's not like a zombie, that it's like some kind of weird instinctive drive from the power of dark magic or something like that. But you wouldn't dress up in costumes and beat people up unless you really thought, no, normal people who don't agree with me are these kind of zombie people who will one day turn on and do things to me. Or the other is, at some point they're going to figure out I'm not them and turn on me. Now, it might not be zombies. This might literally be like, I'm absconded by just simply people who don't agree with me, and what naturally they would do is destroy me. Now, this is a real kind of important idea, because there's not really much evidence of this. There really isn't the same thing like the mask-clad group that shows up at things all the time and beats up the liberals. That they don't exist. People want them to exist because apparently they need this fantasy world. They really need this. They need that they're something about themselves thinking, no, attacking people who don't agree with me is justified, because you see, one day they'll do it to me. And now somebody could make this argument, well, Israel. It's like, well, yeah, I mean, the one party has stated overtly they will do everything they can to strike out at this other party when they can. The minute they're ready, they're going to do something terrible to you. That's a part of their credo. So it's kind of a slightly different thing for Israel. You know, they're kind of, somebody's being honest with them. I mean, in a way, you got to kind of hand it to the forces that hate Israelis, you know. They are totally, they are totally genuinely honest. That they legitimately are like, no, once I have the ability to, I'm going to do these terrible things to you. It says so on my flag, you know, things like that. With the American liberals, it's this thing of, no, I when I get the chance, I do terrible things to you, because you see, one day you're going to do that to me, and it's a part of your credo. And it's like, wait, okay, so, and this keeps happening. Where in our credo is this what we do? Like, where are we saying that the minute we get the chance, we're going to do terrible things to you? Like, where does this happen? And it's just, and it gets more and more of this kind of amorphous cloud of vagaries of somebody somewhere said this, but yet the liberals and Antifa all agree on certain ideas, and that Antifa will show up and beat people up who don't agree with those ideas. And that journalists, and most importantly, this is another one, why are journalists so fond of this? Why do the journalists have such a great time not really accurately portraying this? And always in one vein. To the point that there's now, it's when people who are Antifa commit crimes against children, you find this out from Andy Ngo, and Andy Ngo alone. Nobody else reports this kind of thing. Only he's watching what this kind of terrorist organization, this Marxist terrorist organization, that the Democrats allow to terrorize people. And the most fascinating thing is, they're mostly terrorizing the places that Democrats control. Making it this thing of like, well, obviously crime isn't really down. You have a Marxist gang that controls, that has apparently, this Marxist gang can show up and do whatever they want, whenever they want, and nobody will really do anything about them where you guys control. So why should anybody come back to your party if this is what you are about? I mean, everything about this is like this stack of I kind of can't believe where you guys are at now. Knowing like the beginning of the progressive movement and seeing what it could have been, especially with the introduction of the libertarians into the whole thing of just discussing ideas, that you guys had such opportunities, but you decided to side with the Marxists. And in not dismissing that and understanding how you can't have the constitutional republic and Marxism at the same time, because they have certain fundamental differing views of the nature of humans and the nature of how human groups organize. So you can't put those two together, and men know this, and men discuss these ideas. Women don't really discuss these ideas. I'm sorry, we know they don't. We know this doesn't interest them, so they're just like, no, we should just have this ridiculous fucking mega state that is allowed to do whatever it wants to solve problems. And we'll just make sure there's lots of women in the bureaus because, women always make good decisions, as everybody knows from television. That's how we're rolling right now. They're even to some degree major marketing firms and major corporations, they're all reliant on this idea of, well, women buy everything and are the most important thing ever and the only people worth listening to. So what do women want? And then they make something that is patently kind of terrible in the realm of entertainment, which is then this thing of, wait, so homosexuals and women like really bad entertainment is kind of what you're sort of saying. See, because it's once again that thing of, hold up a second, what men do, where they go, wait, why do you think that? So yeah, you're not going to get men back. You guys are weirdos. You're the weirdos. I mean, that's all there is to it. And you really don't like that. That apparently is a real soft spot for you fucking Dems. That you're finally losing because you're super strange. I'm kind of enjoying that, that sort of weird irony of it, where it's like, I haven't become all that more normal. But I'm not, you guys are fucking odd. And that now you're having this sort of battle. No, you're weird. And it's like, oh, okay, right. It's like, why do you think that? Yeah, men aren't coming back to you. Take care.